you, Pastor Damastis, are the founder. Is that right? Founder, co-founder of the Real Men Iowa Conference, right?
Yeah, it's actually just called Real Men Conference, and we have a website, realmeniowa.org.
Okay.
And we kind of have founded, I guess, ourselves as a ministry, Real Men Ministries, and we actually are listed that way. But it's something that's not about any kind of a local church. It's about reaching out to men, helping men be the man that God is calling them to be. And we want to help equip men and urge men and call men to be that man. And for every man that looks a little bit different, because all of us are at a little bit different place, but all men struggle with a lot of similar things.
Sure. Last year, you guys kind of covered the porn subject. Now, this year, is it going to be different? Or are you going to be?
Oh, that'll be covered this year as well. I mean, every conference that we've done, it has had that kind of a little bit of a bent to it, because that's such a common issue for men today.
Sure. I've heard statistics like 75% of all men, 50% of all pastors actively struggle with it. That's some scary statistics. Now, but there's going to be some more stuff about fatherhood and stuff like that. So if this isn't something they struggle with,
it's not a porn conference.
Yeah,
no.
It's not a porn conference. It's a come in and we'll talk about fatherhood.
The focus is going to be on being a better husband, better father, but there's also going to be a real specific focus on sexual integrity.
Sure.
and helping men that deal with that.
What about directing men to be leaders in the church? Is there any of that, or?
I don't know that that's going to be a main focus, to be honest with you. This is dubbed a Christian men's conference, so we are unashamedly speaking to men that would proclaim the name of Christ, but that doesn't mean that non-Christian men shouldn't go or shouldn't be there.
Sure.
But for the person that's completely out of the church, it might be a little bit of a like, what the heck is this all about? Kind of a thing. It might be a little bit of a cultural experience that would be out of their norm.
So it's kind of I don't want to call it like a lay conference, but it'd be directed towards lay Christianity or
absolutely
general Christianity.
Absolutely.
Okay. You got some speakers lined up.
Yeah.
Who do you have lined up?
Well, our keynote is Dave Erickson. He is the minister at First Christian Church in Council Bluffs, Iowa, and he's been there just, I don't even know, awful amount of years, but he's a great, well-known speaker. He spoke nationally at a conference called the North American Christian Convention. He's just one of those guys that when you listen to, even though he might not have a ton of name recognition right here in Central Iowa, he'll hit it way out of the park. I mean, he's just a great speaker, and he'll be able to come in and really challenge the men that come to the conference.
And do you know what he's talking about specifically, I suppose?
Actually, I do. Boy, it's funny because he actually just emailed me some of his titles, and I got it. I can't believe I had it right up. That's such a cool question. When he comes, he said the first message that he's going to bring is going to be dealing with the man, his wife, and his children. And so he said he's going to elaborate on the 5 seasons of marriage, the 4 levels of intimacy, and 4 conversations of a father with his children. So that sounds kind of interesting and cool. And the second session, he's going to be dealing with resisting temptation. He said this session will open up Genesis 39 to reflect on Joseph and his encounter with Mrs. Potiphar. So should be a good seminar session.
How long has this been going?
This is our 4th year that we've done the conference, and it's first year we did it in our church building, and where we worship, and we were hoping for like 40 guys. We had over 100. And we realized, wow, we got to do this in another venue. And so the next year we had over 200, and last year, had well over 300, and it was just, great. And so we're, hoping to continue that same trend and just continue to grow.
Now, for our demographic here is a little different. I know you were on Mac's show a little earlier today. Our demographic is a little different here. We actually try to specifically and particularly look at the college age demographic.
Cool.
Especially at Iowa State, stuff like that. What do you think is going to be the main attraction for some of those younger guys to come? I mean, what are they going to gain from it, I guess?
Well, you know what? I mean, there's just not a lot out there anymore for guys. Promise Keepers is still around in existence, but this is something in the middle of the winter, and it's just for men. And so I'd say, any of the guys at school that are trying to be, a man who follows Christ and have integrity in their life, they're going to come and they're going to really feel like they got a great shot in the arm and great equipment, and they're going to be able to go and live out what God's calling them to do.
Okay. I heard something about some testimonies and stuff like that. What's the importance of the testimony there?
Well, I believe that there is, Mac is really good at talking about, power and testimony, but I really believe that there is a lot of value to it. And I think, honestly, as Christians, that's all we really have. I mean, we have the Word of God, and all of that, but not everybody knows the Bible really well. And so what you can talk about is what God has done for you and how He has worked in your life. And so that's our personal testimony. And being able to share that just moves people, I think, in really, really real ways. And so we'll have Mac sharing his testimony. I'm kind of excited, honestly, because I've never heard him verbalize his testimony before.
I've heard it in pieces. I don't think I've ever heard the whole. We were talking about it at lunch, and he asked me, well, which part should he really focus in on? I said, well, you need to be careful not to glorify your sin. That's what he was talking about. He's like, oh, Dan says don't talk about my sin at all. I said,
right.
No, you don't need to particularize and glorify it.
Right.
I think you need to say this is what I was doing and not get necessarily into how, not necessarily the depth of it, but just like when we recall it a lot, I feel that some people tend to live back and kind of glorify it.
What I've heard it is a lot of people who've struggled with sin, especially like they used to live a party life, and they'll start talking about, and they'll put a lot of humor in it, and they'll wow, man, I remember I used to get so trashed or whatever, and they'll kind of, like you say, they'll glory in that, and that's not right. And really the focus of any kind of a personal testimony needs to be on Christ and what He's done. And so I think that's not bad advice. I think that, it's also important, though, that people kind of hear what kind of struggles you've had, where you've been, how far has God pulled you?
Yeah,
out?
I mean, and that's why Mac was saying, I told him not to tell. I actually do think personal testimony has value to it. I think that especially when you're talking to people, when you're counseling or you have people under your wing, or in this situation where the whole point is to go and kind of understand and be around men and figure out things that could help you pull bits and pieces. I think that's really valuable.
Mm-hmm.
What I was telling Matt, when me and Mac were talking about it, what I was specifically talking about was more of a, like you were talking about reveling in the sin and kind of, like it was humorous or it was an okay thing or stuff like that. God seems certainly pleased to use my sin when I talk to people to be helpful, which I'm glad that my sin does something positive, because it's such a drag to me, to carry around the burden of sin. But to see God use my experiences for benefit, just further proof God likes to use crooked sticks to straight blows.
Yeah, and if we really hate the sin, then what are we doing, celebrating the past of it? I mean, of course, they always throw in but look what God's freed me from. But it's like, oh, man, I used to be able to put away a 12-pack,
Right. Well, and I get that. I think that, one of the reasons we study a driver's education manual is because people have learned the hard way from those mistakes, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of listed out what you do at red lights, what you do when you see these signs, and what you do at that intersection. That's good, because there were mistakes that help kind of write that down. You know what I mean? This is the right thing to do, and you can know for everything that you're learning in a driver's manual, there was an opposite that happened at some point that gave us that information. And so, sometimes when we hear a person sharing, it's like, wow, I don't want that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to know that. I don't want to live that. So sometimes a personal testimony can kind of be like that driver's manual and helping an individual know, I'm kind of headed down that same road right now. I need to turn things around. And so that's good. I think there's power in that and there's value in that. It's just that it's a fine line. I think it's maybe even a fiber optic thin thread line to go from talking about where God has pulled you from to glorifying it, and I don't know if I've got a fine balance of that or not.
Well, that's not the only element too. I mean, you also, if you put too much emphasis on the testimony, it can kind of begin to compete with the sufficiency of Scripture, and the centrality of the preached word. But also, it can become too much about me, even if it's not like, well, God saved me from being able to put away. I was the biggest drinker in town. You know, people bowed at me. You know, I've been, even if it's not that, even if it's, you know, like I was such a miserable wretch.
But I would challenge it at one level just to say this. I mean, and I was talking about this on Mac's show earlier. There's a phrase in Scripture, you see it in the New Testament over and over, and it's the phrase "seen and heard," and that's what the apostles referred to. We testify to what we have seen and heard, you know, about Christ. Of course, He's the focus and He's the center, but it was very personal because I saw it, I heard it, and so that's kind of in a sense really what a personal testimony needs to be about. It needs to be focused on Jesus, but what has He done in your life? What did you see and what did you hear?
All right, this is a Rebels Cause Radio. We're that crazy, eclectic radio show that encourages you to do wild and wacky things like read your Bible. You know, I want you to go to church. I want you to love Jesus. I want you to forsake the world. This is Rebels Cause Radio, and we'll be right back after the break.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager
I am the senior technician.
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
When you find yourself in danger, when you're threatened by a stranger, when it looks like you will take a licking. Oh, the super chicken.
We know that there are a lot of great radio shows that you can be a fan of, but there is only one that's certified organic, free range, and cage free. Just like that hippie chicken you ate for dinner. This is a Rebels Cause Radio.
It seemed like there was supposed to be more to that intro. Was that, does he always just, this is a Rebels Cause? I thought he introduced me in that. So now these people, you don't know who I am.
Lucky you.
Everybody in the room is going, that's a good thing. But in reality, this is a Rebels Cause Radio. I am your host, Dan Fry, Papa Tat, Father Tattoo for all you KTIA J. Michael McCoy fans. I hate that name. But that's what happened. So we shortened it to Papa Tat here.
Cool.
It works a little better and reflects that I'm a father in the sense of I have children rather than I'm a Catholic priest.
Papa really kind of implies more grandfatherly than fatherly.
You know, I don't know what else to do. There's only so much I can do with Father Tattoo.
Many people refer to the Pope as Papa.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
did you ever hear about the guy who went down to Mexico and he mistranslated the shirt? He wanted to make a quick buck, and the Pope came to Mexico and he meant to make a shirt that said "Veo el Papa," I saw the Pope, but he did one that said "Veo la Papa," I saw the potato.
John is really bad jokes.
No, it's not. No, it's honest to goodness, it's not a joke. It actually happened. It's not a bad joke. It's bad trivia.
That really happened.
Yes, that really happened.
Viola Papa.
You know, I would
have bought that shirt.
I would have. Me too. Yeah. I would have. I guess I would call you on that. But you see people that like with misspelled tattoos, and you're like, that never really actually happens.
It does.
I personally know somebody that tried to put a Latin saying on their arm and ended up with 2 E's instead of one on "In God We Trust" in Latin. It's hilarious.
Nice.
Joining me in studio, we got Samuel Hall.
Good to be here.
We got Jonathan.
Something Wedgeworth.
John Wedgeworth. Wedgeworth just doesn't flow. I was discussing with this with Chris Roloff today from KTIA.
Okay.
Wedgeworth doesn't flow off my tongue very well. Wedgeworth. There's too many syllables.
It's a terrible radio name.
Yeah.
Well, if you were, better at talking.
Well, you know what?
Wedgeworth.
Beggars can't be choosers.
That's
and
right.
choosy beggars.
Maybe if
choose
you would
Jeff.
actually talk into your mics, people could hear you.
I wouldn't have any headphones.
I wouldn't be critiqued about how quiet you are.
Am I talking right on my mic right now?
Yeah, but you're still quiet. See how that is? Okay, back to the conversation. We're joining us tonight. We have Pastor Michael Damastis from Fort Des Moines Church. Is that right?
Yeah, Fort Des Moines Church of Christ.
Now, there's a church right down the street from you, also called the Fort or something like that.
There's that just in that strip in that area of the South Side. There's a lot of forts, and there's the Fort Des Moines United Methodist Church, Fort Des Moines Church of the Open Bible. There's Fort Des Moines Presbyterian. There's
I think they're bad Presbyterian. I think they're PCUSA. We don't
okay, well, I thought it was funny because their church sign is handmade out of wood. It's beautiful.
I know which one you're talking about.
But they have the pastor's name on a little piece of wood that's screwed in so they can take it out whenever the guy gets fired or leaves, and that's happened a few times since I've been here.
Some of them are small and fit nicely, and some of them, like every other piece of writing on there's a nice big readable font, and then it's some real ridiculously long name that
like some guy from India.
No, it's just like there was like an Italian-ish kind of name on there last time I saw it. It was just really long. It was abnormally long.
An Italian name on the South Side.
Go figure.
That's
I don't
weird.
Yeah.
When did that start?
Yeah. There's no Italians on the South Side of Des Moines, and they don't want to talk about any mafiosa either. Anyway, Rebels Cause Radio, we're talking to you about the I just about called it the Proof of God Conference, but it's the Real Men Conference.
Yep.
And your website again is
realmeniowa.org. Yep.
Okay.
And that's where you register, find out about who we are, what the conference is all about.
We've talked a little bit about what was going on. You talked about David
Erickson.
And I talked to the guy twice today too. So you've talked about David Erickson talking. You've talked about his speeches he's given. What we haven't talked about at all yet, though, is where is this?
The Real Men Iowa conference is going to be at Rising Sun Church of Christ in Pleasant Hill on March 1st from 7 to 10. That's a Friday night. We've always done the conference on Friday evenings, and it's just one evening for just a few hours, so it's not a gigantic, enormous commitment. The conference is free. There's no cost to attend. It's just something that we want, to help encourage men to be the men that God is calling them to be.
And what are you expecting for numbers this year?
Well, I would expect it to be very similar to what it's been in the past, 300, 350 in that realm. It's a well-attended conference. It's not like, a big mega Promise Keepers conference, but it's really neat to be in a room with just all men, great, fantastic worship led by Pathway Band, which is Dan Hudson's church. I don't know if you guys know Dan Hudson or not.
Yeah, we're familiar with Live from the Path guys.
Yeah, those guys are great. But those guys, they're such a talented bunch of worship leaders and whatnot. So they're Now, you guys said you're Presbyterians. Are you allowed to do contemporary music or not? Did they?
John's not.
Different Presbyterians will have different views on that. I hold to a. I came from a praise band background. I was the bass player.
Oh, cool.
And now I traded I still play bass privately, but I traded the bass for the hymnal, and it's made me a better singer.
What is that?
The hymnal?
Yeah. What is this you speak of?
The right.
Well,
right.
and it's actually specific. They get worse than this. They only use the Blue Trinity because the Blue Trinity hymnal is better than the Red Trinity hymnal.
Fact.
Wow.
No,
Not fact. Wrong.
but well, they don't. The Blue Trinity doesn't have any 7-Elevens in it.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't even know
What's
what
the
that means.
Yeah, you.
7 words repeated 11 times.
Oh, you mean you don't do liturgy?
7 words repeated.
Damn.
No, I was just gonna say all instruments are created by man, so it doesn't matter what you play in church as long as it's not distracting to the congregation.
Now, and I'm not going to be a Nazi about it. I mean, I'm not going to judge someone that takes a different view on it. But personally,
John's Nazi about everything.
I wouldn't
want
to be in a praise band context again, whether I'm part of the band or in the pews.
Mm-hmm.
I would not want to be a part of a praise band.
Well, at the fort where we worship, we have praise contemporary music, and we have traditional Sundays where it's all hymns and just the pianist and the one guy leading on that particular Sunday that we do it, and a lot of our elderly folks are just smiling so great whenever we have a hymn Sunday, and it's but I always want to point out, because some of the elderly folks in our congregation, they criticize our praise music because like, you guys say the same things over and over and over again. It's like, I want to worship God. I want to worship God. I want to worship God. I love the Lord. I love the Lord. I love the Lord. And I'm like, well, what about that whole, there's power, wonder-working power in the blood. And
yeah, but I think that praise bands really skip out on a ton of depth. I mean, honestly, looking at the lyrics that are in some of the good old hymns, and then looking at Chris Tomlin, it's kind of like higher education compared to kindergarten.
Well,
sometimes.
Chris Tomlin's better than most of them. I mean, look.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay,
You sure you still want to be on this show?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think this is a great conversation.
No, even if, let's just put aside the instrumentation for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just look at the content of the lyrics.
Sure.
There are contemporary songs that have rich, deep theological lyrics. I mean, the Christian hip hop world is wonderful at that.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of contemporary Christian music is not.
I would definitely agree with that.
Most of it is anthropocentric or egocentric.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it
words.
Hold on a second, though. I mean, let me ask you a question, John.
Go for it.
Let me ask you something.
You want to ask me something?
Yeah, I want to ask you a question.
All right, go for it.
Okay. You keep saying contemporary Christian music, and you don't seem to be separating it from contemporary Christian worship music. And there is a difference. I mean, there are specific differences between those. I mean, there are songs meant to be sung in church, and in general, I find whether I like the theology or not in them, they do a decent job.
Well, let's think of it in terms of a Venn diagram. You know what a Venn diagram is?
No.
Okay, it's the picture with the two different circles, and sometimes the circles overlap.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
Is there a ditch that we can run in between and fall on one side or in the other?
No, there's three ditches.
I'm known as the two ditches guy. But
there's always a ditch with John, and you want to stay out of this ditch or this ditch.
But okay, no. If I guess I'd be willing to get behind there's the worship music and contemporary Christian, just general contemporary Christian music, are two different circles on a Venn diagram. But I say that there's a ton of overlap.
Well, there can be. I mean, in our church, we've sang Jars of Clay before.
It was done well,
and it was done well.
It Christmas Time is here?
It's better than Jars of Clay.
No, I don't remember what it was. What?
Although Jars of Clay,
I think it was God. Did God be
merciful?
Yeah, and we also sang Fanny Crosby.
Yeah, I mean, there's
no wait.
Is that she was Stills and Nash and Young? Different Crosby.
But I think it can be done good. I go to a church where we're experimenting with a few more instruments, and I really enjoy it. One of the things that I don't like about I don't really like singing all that much. Mm-hmm. It's actually very much a drag to me, particularly because I don't like old hymns. They don't resonate with me. I like some of the words, but I like them when I read them more than I would sing them.
You're also not a very good singer.
I'm a horrible. Did you just hear what I said? I was singing on the mic, and you guys missed it and didn't make a big deal of it. It was great.
We must have blacked out.
I think there's definitely something to be said for the cultural context with the hymns that were composed, what the year that they were composed in compared to the year that we are
at some
in
point
now.
These were modern music for somebody, and we've kind of in the Presbyterian tradition we've kind of ignored the fact that context changed. And so I appreciate that our church isn't a piano only, Blue Trinity. In fact, I like the Red Trinity much better.
Well, I think that, when you're trying to be relevant to a culture, and I don't think that needs to be the driving force, because I've come a long way on that. I used to be whatever Bill Hybels was doing, or whoever, Andy Stanley, whatever. I needed to be doing it too, because that's cool. But what I really think, though, I still think that there needs to be a focus. It doesn't need to be the number one priority, but a focus on relevance. And I believe that when you have kids that are, downloading music on their phone, off the internet, and they come in and they're singing songs that were, created hundreds and hundreds of years ago and are being played on an instrument that they don't see in any other context in their life ever, on an organ. And what you're doing is you're creating a ditch. I think they're a barrier for those
different
people.
kind of ditch, John.
And I think it's hard for them, for some people, it's hard for them to go across and like, wow, I'm going to embrace this wholeheartedly. I think that some people can get to that level, but I think that a person off the street that walks in, that's a big cultural shock to them. I think it's hard. Now,
well, I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, it's okay.
I'm good at interrupting. But thank you. I'm also kind of losing my voice, so that's bad for radio. But
no, it's great for us.
No, but okay. But here's the question: you're saying you want to be relevant. You want to reach kind of the people who might walk in. What about people who are walking in burned out by contemporary church, who are looking for the transcendence of God? Who are looking for the majesty of God? And
a couple of things I'll say on that. That's why we do various worship services. We have a different kind of style at our particular congregation, and you hear people say, "Well, you can't make everybody happy," and that is true. But I have found you can very easily make everybody mad at the same time, and doing worship in a varied way is an easy path to that process, because I get irritated with some of the elderly folks in my church that really want us to do more hymns, but the contemporary crowd, the younger crowd of my church, are such big babies about it that, when we're not doing contemporary music, you'd think that we'd have just taken their toys and they want to go, cry in the nursery. And sometimes I feel like I'm, trying to just manage the nursery at times when it comes to worship issues like that. And it's a drag, because the reality is, so much of it is, even the way that we're describing it right now is us. And that's not the focus. Worship is God-oriented, and it always needs to be that way. And worship isn't about what I'm getting or receiving from it. It's about what He is.
Well, and I think, now this is my Presbyterianism coming out, but I'm a big believer. Okay. Well, we could talk more about that on the break, because it's not something I can do in 30 seconds.
It's not something you can't do anything in 30 seconds, John.
I did that in 30 seconds.
All right, so we're talking with you about what you like to listen to during church and what's appropriate. And, we want to know what you think. If you're listening to us on the web, you can call 1-855-244-0077 and tell us what you prefer. Probably not these wind chimes. I don't know about you guys. Not a big fan of the wind chimes going on in my earphones right now. This is a Rebels Cause Radio, brought to you by Webcast One Live from KTIA 99.3. We'll see you right after this break.
Hi, this is Dan Fry, one of the hosts of a Rebels Cause Radio. Did you know that you can like us on Facebook? That you can follow us on Twitter? That you can watch our previously recorded shows on YouTube? That you can listen to a live audio stream on Mixlr.com? That's mixlr.com/webcast-1-live. Or that you can email us with any ideas you have for the show at idea@arebelscause.com. And we want to say thank you. We love this show. but we couldn't do it without rebels like you who interact with us on a daily basis through these methods. So thanks for going with us on this journey in search of edutainment.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
Fight the good fight on a Rebels Cause Radio, Thursday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on a rebelscause.com. A Rebels Cause Radio is edutainment.
What do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Don't just sit there. Get involved. This is a Rebels Cause Radio.
That is right. This is a Rebels Cause Radio. I am your host, that tattooed freak of a man, Dan Fry. Joining me in studio today, we have Sam U.L. Hall.
It's good to be here.
Or Samu.
Sam U-Hall.
I like Samu. I actually call him Samu a lot.
That's fine. I mean, if my name was Italian, that would be what my nickname would be.
Yeah. And then, of course, we got John. I've got no nickname, Wedgeworth. And joining us, special guest, Pastor Mike Damastis from the Fort Des Moines
Church of Christ.
Yeah, there's so many Fort Des Moines church or Des Moines.
That's because they're right by Fort Des Moines proper.
Yeah, well, they are. There's they're right there. But there's the fort. There's you guys. You're the guys with the crazy signs.
Yeah, our signs explode.
Are you the one that had the Dairy Queen? Like Dairy Queen isn't the only place to have that has great Sundays. Did you guys have that? Is that you?
No, they're the ones that always have the weighty, meaningful signs, and then 2 doors down are the ones where they always have the silly garbage.
That's the Glad Tidings does the weird stuff, isn't it? No, you don't have to comment. We won't lump you, and you got to work with these people.
Yeah, we're not going to get you in trouble.
We're Presbyterians. We work with nobody. That's just how that works.
Well, actually, we work with the General Assembly in a session and all.
Yeah, we work with
the most people.
Yeah, but anyway, no. I thought that was your sign for some reason. I saw that you had the pray for those girls during the summer. That was such a bummer.
Yeah,
and I appreciated your message for voting for life during the voting. I thought
another explosive sign.
That probably was. Though, the problem I had with that one is I wasn't sure which way I should vote then. Because I'm going to be honest, I didn't think Mitt Romney really stood for life.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. But, and one, not to go too sidetracked on that issue, but I really feel when it comes to that kind of stuff, you need to think grassroots, local politics.
Sure.
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we have. I think we as Bible-believing Christians are losing our place in the Republican Party. I think that our best bet is independent, but we can't just have someone who says, okay, every 4 years I'm going to step up and I'm going to lay claim to the throne. We need to have some people who have a track record of being involved in lesser politics. I don't like that term, but you know what I mean. Let's get this thing moving, and then we can start talking about bigger offices. But I know what you guys mean about the tough choice at the election time. Do you want to vote for someone who is just essentially pro-choice, but is going to be less pro-choice than Obama, or do you want to vote for someone who's going to be absolutely pro-life and have no chance of getting in?
Well, I feel like when you get into those kind of discussions, you're sitting there toying with different kinds of fecal matter. You know, well, this pile isn't as big as that pile, so we should go with the lesser pile. And I think that's really stupid because in the end, it's smelly and it's gross.
Well,
I
tell you
like that. I'm with him.
Well, I tell you what, I felt dirty.
Yeah,
I did. I didn't know what I was going to do till the last second. I went ahead and plugged my nose, winced my eyes.
Voted for a cult leader,
and then went ahead and pulled the lever for Romney. Is what I did. And the thought process behind it is, if 5,000 less babies die this way, it's better than if none less babies.
Well,
die.
and I agree with you, John.
Fewer.
Yeah, and the fewer. I understand that argument.
You stay out.
I agree with you on that argument. We don't do grammar Nazis here.
It was John. I had to.
You both just need to stop. Just don't be.
Just don't be.
Yeah, just don't be the grammar Nazi. It's that simple. But I agree with you on the fewer thing. But really, there was so many issues that both those guys stunk. So it was hard for me to even vote at all.
Correct.
I mean, this was just one of those. I lamented about this. And then when you're going and you're not going to pull the lever for the Republican Party anymore. You walk up there and you go, man, is this the wisest decision? I struggled with that and lamented over that. And
I mean, to me, frankly, it's at one level, voting for, and I didn't, but I'm not saying I did because I did not. But voting for Obama, at least you kind of know what you're getting.
Yeah.
I mean, voting for Romney, he was such a serpent and such a slick politician. It was just it was disgusting, and I really can appreciate the whole I felt dirty kind of thing. But the whole 5,000 less babies dying. I just recently in the news, the Ankeny abortion clinic decided they were going to stop doing telemed abortions. Are you familiar with those?
I am.
Telemed abortions. Go ahead.
Well, telemed abortions. For those of you that don't know. First of all, you can find out all kinds of great information at the new Ankeny Informed Choices Clinic. They'll give you even more detailed information, so double check what I say against them. But basically, the doctor meets with the client at the facility via webcam, and there's a little drawer, and he will talk to the client, the patient, the mother.
Oh, I do know. What we're talking about
the future murderer.
Yeah, I do.
And they talk her through it, and then they approve her, and then the drawer opens and the pill's there, and she goes home and she literally aborts her baby at home.
Right.
It's the at-home abortion kit.
So Ankeny's abortion clinic decided they weren't going to do those any longer, and there was kind of great, celebrating and wow, there, lots less babies are going to die and whatever. And I guess my gut level reaction to that is and was, what kind of news is it coming out of the concentration camp that the guards are no longer going to use gas? We're just going to go with bullets.
That's a good analogy.
I think it is. This life issue has been really hot lately. I mean, this is just, at least maybe I live in my small world and this is who the people I'm dealing with, but you got Crown Rights doing their Babies Are Murdered Here DVD. I did something silly, maybe foolish. I took a page maybe out of the church sign kind of book. But I'm friends with all the abolitionist guys, the Abolish Human Abortion. I love those guys. They're doing great things. Somebody made a page the other day that was the Abolish Human Abortion page.
Ooh.
So I made the Abolish Human Abortion page.
Let's see how far this goes.
Yeah, man. And then they told me that I was whiny for mocking them for making a page. I was like, I'm sorry. I don't even feel bad. And we actually
they have a very monolateral sense of fairness. They only hold themselves to the highest of double standards.
They told me that I somehow appreciate rape and pedophilia.
Oh, and that's straw man, yes.
Yeah,
how can you? You know what? That is just you can't argue with that kind of logic. That's just invincible. Argument,
it was amusing to me. I was amused, and then explained that actually I would be pro death penalty for either one of those cases, just not for the baby.
Right.
Yeah, for the innocent life worth protecting, great. Guilty life, you know, I think you could sway me pro choice for the rapist and the pedophile, just not for the baby they created.
Yeah, I saw a meme online today.
Meme,
whatever.
See, grammar Nazis.
Meme. I saw a meme. That's what my kids call their grandma. Meme.
They called her meme.
Yeah, so I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird. But I saw one online today. It said, you know, if a dad doesn't want to, or if a man doesn't want to take care of his kids, we call him a deadbeat dad. But if a mom doesn't want to take care of her kids, we call her pro-choice.
Ooh.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
That's pretty harsh.
That's pretty accurate.
Well, I just, you know, my wife's pregnant right now. And so I've really had a lot of time to kind of think about life and when it was conceived and stuff like that. And it hurts my feelings to think that somebody thinks it's perfectly acceptable for me to stick some pliers up my wife and pull the baby out by its head. That's disgusting. It just is. I don't know how else to put it. A Rebels Cause Radio. We're that show. We call it like it is. Right here on 99.3 KTIA, Iowa.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit, you're our hero!
Fight the good fight on a Rebels Cause Radio, Thursday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on a rebelscause.com. A Rebels Cause Radio is edutainment.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
Come to save the day. That means that Mighty Mouse is on the way.
Don't just sit there. Get involved. This is a Rebels Cause Radio.
All right, this is a Rebels Cause. I am that host, Dan Fry. Joining me in studio today in the Webcast One Live studios. In fact, very lovely studios. Very glad they're provided for us to do this silly radio show. We got Samuel Hall.
I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Samuel.
I'm not a cow.
I like the moo. I just like to call you Samu.
It's
kind of like Shamu, but not.
But better because it's Sam.
Yeah, because you're. Well, that's the irony. You know, you call him something that sounds like Shamu, but it's not the same because he's the opposite.
Is it bad?
Let that bake your noodle. Okay, and then we got John No Name Wedgeworth. And, of course, Pastor Mike DeMastis of the Fort Des Moines Church of Christ. There we go. I'll get it right. There's too many of them. I think there is. You were saying there's like 5 or 6, and I know of at least 3 of them.
Of the Fort Des Moines
Yeah,
brand.
because I know they have the Fort Des Moines Presbyterian, with the sign we were talking about earlier. I know your church. And then you got the Fort that's like a warehouse. Is that a mega church?
No.
No, they just have a big
Fort Des
building?
Moines Church of the Open Bible is what you're referring to, and they're right down on Army Post. But no, they're not a mega church in any standard. They're probably, I'm guessing, but they're probably 200, 250.
That's a mega church for us Presbyterians. Unless you're Tim Keller. He's got a church. So somebody asked on chat, and I wanted to ask you here, as long as you're okay with it, baptismal regeneration and your views on it. Yay, nay?
I believe that baptism is an absolute essential, I would say, part of the regeneration process, but I don't believe that baptism regenerates anybody.
So you would say it would be a normal part, maybe essential, normal. Can we interchange them? It would be normal. You would normally.
Yeah. Well, a save for the thief on the cross.
Yeah. That's an extraordinary circumstance.
Show me a follower of Jesus Christ that wasn't baptized.
I would agree with that. I mean, that. I think we'd all. John, you'd be in line with that, right?
It's an ordinary
means. Yep. There we go.
There's extraordinary circumstances, but ordinarily we would see it. We would expect it. We would insist on it.
Sorry, you think that was like yes and no, Megans. I don't know what to tell you. It's really more like no. I think I think that's no. Baptism doesn't save, but it is something that Christians should seek out and do. It would be odd if you did not.
Absolutely. And I mean, no, I would say baptism doesn't save anybody if they're hoping in that act is what's going to save me.
Because your hope is in
Christ, His work on the cross, His atonement for my sins being, placed upon me, not the act of baptism itself.
Are you guys dunkers or sprinklers?
We are definitely done. Let me ask you a question, because it says buried with Christ.
Sure.
Have you ever been to a funeral where someone's buried and they just threw a handful of dirt on the casket and said, it's good?
Well, yeah, I get that. I've heard that before. The argument is that could be stretching the metaphor further. I mean,
how about then let's get more specific and go to the Greek.
Okay.
Baptizo. What's it mean?
Well, baptizo is a term that was used in more than one context. It was a laundry term of the day. Partially, which you'd see there, but I'm no Greek expert, but
took 3 years of it.
Okay, but
the word for sprinkle is rantizo. The word for immerse, to baptize, is baptizo, and the word the word rantizo is never ever employed in the New Testament in reference to the act of baptism, and it specifically means to sprinkle with water. But yet that is what's employed in most churches that would practice that mode of baptism is sprinkling. And it's not something that you see in reference to the
So let me ask you this.
Act in the New Testament.
You've got me on the Greek. I'm not even going to try to debate you on that. I feel fine with your explanation there. What about somebody that was sprinkle baptized, comes to your church? Do they need to be rebaptized, or is their baptism effective?
Well, that's not something where we beat people over the head saying, this needs to happen for you. But what I would do with an individual that came into our church that was sprinkled, typically if they were sprinkled as a baby, I would say that when Jesus said, whoever believes and is baptized will be saved in Mark 16:16, I would say, how does an infant have the ability to do either? And so I think that, I reject the idea of infant baptism, and I think that it is something that a person has to willfully engage in the process. They have to know. Those.
How do you account then for like the whole families becoming saved? There were because they would go and baptize entire families.
Those passages there really are kind of neutral zone territory.
John, I'm asking him.
Well, but I jumped in and answered. I don't. Those passages are not going to win the day for either side.
No, I don't think they are. I'm just asking him.
Well, the household argument, frankly, in my opinion, is weak because it's an argument from silence. And what we're saying is there's got to be some little baby in that household. There's just got to be.
Sure.
And so how do we know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would agree with you there because I don't think you can make
it's an
case
argument from
way.
silence. It's like the a cappella churches of my branch that would say, if the New Testament doesn't speak on the issue of instruments, then we should not use them in our worship services. And I think that arguing from silence is a bad hermeneutic process.
They restrict it to the New Testament too. They wouldn't even.
Yes.
Because they don't want to get caught up in the
What about Davidic worship in the temple?
Yeah, I would say they don't want to get caught up in Psalms.
Right.
Okay, fair enough. That's interesting. Well, maybe we'll have this conversation when I've actually got the Greek and Hebrew in front of me. So
I'd love to. I mean, I think it's a great conversation.
I think it's important to have. I personally think we end up imputing too much into the baptism when we sound off on it definitively one way or the other.
Right. I think that our churches are guilty of, and I think that's where that question might have come from. Our churches are guilty of saying, you got to be baptized, got to be baptized, got to be baptized. And it's like, that's all we ever preach and that's all we ever talk about. And I don't want to be known as one of those, you know what I mean? Because I think baptism is an essential part of the salvation process. I really believe it's how you become a Christian, but it's not what you do to become a Christian. You don't get baptized. It's about the cross of Christ, his atoning work applied to your life. That's what it's about. And so the baptism act is something that I think needs to be done, but it's not something that is the thing that's done that saves you.
Sure.
Well, and Presbyterians wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah, that's in line, I think, with Westminster.
Yeah, Presbyterians would see a kind of a covenant element to it, but not necessarily a regeneration.
I mean, the argument that a typical Presbyterian would take, we would look at the covenant of circumcision, and we would say that when we look at all the other covenants that come from the Old Testament, New Testament, we see them expanding and being inclusive, and so we see baptism as the new circumcision. So
I don't disagree with that.
We pull that in. Well, that was done seven days after birth. Is it 8? I thought it was okay. Well, it was right after birth. So we would add that to baptism, and that's where we get there. And I'm satisfied with that answer. It's actually an interesting question. I'm looking forward to that part of my seminary training when we go into that, because that's one I do have questions about. I'm not going to say I cornered the market on truth here.
Well, and the question I'll bring up is, if we live in a more inclusive covenant now than they did then, and they circumcised their infants then, and we don't have a New Testament explicit prohibition, or stop this, then why, if we're in a more inclusive covenant, would we not do something that was done in the less inclusive covenant without an explicit?
I just want to talk mega churches.
Well, it's a really good question, and I will tell you what was Peter's whole sermon. In Acts 2, he was preaching to adult men, and that response from those people when they said, "Well, what do we do then?" And they were cut to the heart, and they asked that question. Peter said, "You need to be repent, and you need baptized."
Well, Presbyterians would believe the same thing about adults. If an adult comes to faith, what do you need to do? You need to repent and believe. Paedo Baptists are also Credo Baptists. They're just not only Credo Baptists.
All right, guys, you've been listening to our show. Thank you for joining us in the conversation. Hopefully you felt involved. Hopefully you were yelling at your radios, screaming, "Hey, what's going on? What's going on?" And trying to argue with us. At least from your radio. We're that show every week. We challenge you to read your Bible, to actually know what it says, to read books about it, to delve into it, to circle and highlight and underline and hashtag, whatever you got to do to really take this knowledge and internalize it. We want you to go to church, not just any church, not the church that makes you feel good, but the church that preaches the Word of God, that does so in a way that is pleasing to God. We want you to love Jesus. This whole Scripture is written about him. It is Christ-centric. He is the reason. And so we want you to love this guy. He's worthy of it. And then, of course, we want you to forsake the world. There's so much evil out here, and it's just going to take you places you never wanted to go. Take it from me. I've been to most of them. Rebels Cause Radio. Until next week, we'll talk to you later. As always, Saturday, 6 o'clock, Rebels Cause Radio. Good night.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the Home Comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershad.
I am administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it. and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me. But is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
Enough said.
Point our doozies right at all those non-tithing members because we want God to come to church. And at the count of 3 Jesuses, we shoot them all dead.
Say what?
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the world, dog.
Say what again? Say what again?
I believe that Jesus is the way to the one God, but I believe there are many paths to Jesus.
That don't make no sense.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense, sir.
Evidently, Mr. Ringo's an educated man. Now I really hate him.
You know what happens when you compromise and men finally get an opportunity to preach the gospel? Having compromised and sinned against God, you know what? If you preach the gospel, even if you compromise and get an opportunity to eventually preach the gospel, some are going to mock you, some will hear you further, and some will believe. You know what happens when you don't compromise and God opens an opportunity for you to preach the gospel? Some will mock you, some will listen to you further, and some will believe. So why bother compromising in the first place?
Welcome back to the second hour of A Rebel's Cause Radio with your host, that tattooed freak of a man, Dan Fry.
Oh, we're breaking in a new producer, and it takes for a while to get all the hang of it. So if we seem a little hung up here and there, it's all Dave's fault. Just completely his fault. Thankfully, I don't think he knows how to unmute the producer's mic, so he can't even respond.
Oh, he just unmuted.
Yeah, he figured out how to mute my mic.
Dave, you are learning fast.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a Rebels Cause Radio second hour. All girl power. I don't know. I was trying,
especially you with those tattoos.
Yeah, they're so pretty.
They
so
are
pretty tattoos. Well, we were talking about paedobaptism. Something I want to address you guys really quick. I know there's some of you guys that were saying, "Oh, Dan, you got it wrong," and some of you were going, "Yeah, Damascus got it wrong." Something I want to emphasize: we see too much of. This is a theological issue. It is not worth separating ourselves from other brothers. as long as we agree that baptism isn't the vessel of salvation, I think we can all have reasonable points and views as to why we would do paedobaptism over credobaptism or vice versa.
Lutherans actually do believe in a regenerational element to baptism.
Well, and I think that's wrong. I
think it's wrong too, but I'm not willing to cut them out.
No,
either.
I'm not. But I think they don't. They believe in an element. It's not the only or the exclusive. I don't think a good Lutheran would tell you. And knowing the Lutheran Catechism probably better than you know the Westminster Catechism, I'm going to tell you I've never recited anything that made me think that at all. But I don't want you guys. I know there's some guys on the chat that are really just convinced we're wrong on the paedobaptism. I don't think so. It's something I've had a lot of conversations with. Having children, if you know anything about me, I take things extremely serious, particularly when it comes to church. And so I've put a lot of thought into my positions. With Pastor Damastis, I didn't want to start a fight with him because what he's doing with the Real Men Conference is very valuable. I appreciate that he's encouraging men to stand up and be godly men, and that's what I wanted to focus on, not whether I agree with him or disagree with him on baptism. Benji, I love you, brother. We're going to have to agree to disagree on how important this is or who's right or wrong. But I believe you to be a brother, and that's the important thing. We talk about theological things. We nitpick a little bit. We pick on each other. I'll call you Dunkers. You call me Sprinkler. It's fine. I don't care if you baptize somebody with sucre soaker, to be really honest.
That would be the most fun way.
It would be. But I want to make sure that these conversations, you guys know when we're having this, when I'm having this conversation with you, when John's having this conversation with you, or John's having this conversation at me, we're talking. It's brothers talking, brothers and sisters in Christ talking. It's not we're not gonna tell you you're not a brother or sister. Some people get so serious about baptism, and I just don't want it. I don't want it to be you guys. I don't want to lose brothers and sisters over a position I take, and I've got to take a position. I can't just anything goes, because we have enough guys that don't really know the answer. Ask Joel Osteen. I don't know.
That's a terrible Joel Osteen impersonation.
I don't know. I just don't know.
I do know it's terrible.
I don't know. That was like a Beatle. I don't know.
That was a terrible Beatle.
You know what?
What do you think, Ryan?
I don't care what Ryan thinks. He's not on the show. He's just standing there. He doesn't get to talk. We don't give him a mic.
He's sitting in front of the mic.
But he just can't take a mic, and you can't just jump into the ring with Ali because you think you can box.
But I can't.
You're not Ali.
If I'm on the board. I just choose not to.
Yeah, that's true. I did give him the power of talking. So anyway, I wanted to talk about mega churches, and not really just a good or bad 50-second conversation, but what are the positive sides of a mega church? What are the bad sides of the mega church? And I realize none of us go to mega churches, so that might be a harder conversation to have than I thought.
My church is sort of a mega church.
If 26 is a mega church, John, then you go to a huge church. And that's not 2,600 or 26,000. It's barely 26.
No, we're back up to pushing about 40 now. I mean, 30, 40. No, really, it's closer to 40. Hey, it's a small church. It's a small church.
It's a tiny church. There's families that are bigger. I've met them.
Ouch. Mostly Catholic.
I don't know. Actually, I mean, Mormons kind of have a lot of big families. I don't know. There's that Us Plus 19 group that would, most days. I go to a church that's got about, probably 90 to 100 people on the roll, somewhere like that. Of course, Ryan and Sam go with me, and a Dov over there in the production booth, King David, as Mac likes to call him. King of what? I don't know. I don't got an answer. He's been hanging out with us. So, but you went to a fairly large church. I mean, because they got a 500 to 1,000, something like that, maybe. Yeah,
He's
something like
his
that.
head.
Yeah, he's nodding his head. He doesn't know how to use the producer mic. I don't.
If you add in both services.
Yeah. So probably 1,000 maybe. But that whole
700.
But that's actually it's not really true because they have campuses, and so there's a lot of them.
That's true.
So Sam, going to that church for a while, what was something good about a mega church?
And there's a lot of people singing. There's
Okay.
a lot of people singing.
Well, if you hate singing,
You shouldn't.
I do.
Well, I'm sorry.
Okay, so now we're past that. What else is good besides
For
music?
me, it was wonderful that I could go and sing with all the other people. I know it's not important to you, but for me, I like that a lot. And there's just a lot of people there, a lot of people that really love the Lord, and it was, it's a lot. You get people that you've never seen before that'll say hi and just act like they're not act, but they.
I think "act's" a good word.
But they're like. They're very loving, and I was never pushed away at all. So
Weird.
That's one thing I liked about it.
Well, that's good. I mean, because that would seem kind of standoffish if you were pushed away. Do you feel pushed away at the church you go to now?
No.
Have you ever felt pushed away?
No.
Because I'm pretty sure everybody thinks you're their child.
That they probably
I don't think
do.
that.
Have you ever
I
been
thought
shoved?
that'd be really creepy.
Well, your
Actually,
mom probably thinks that Sam's her child, though.
Dan wished the wrath of God upon me, so I think that's kind of like being shoved.
Yeah, but I'm just a jerk. I mean, you can't count me. I'm here.
I
So
guess it's
everybody
true.
else is good.
Well,
So-
everybody other than you.
Okay, everybody other than me is nice at church to you.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
John, you went to a church years ago that was bigger.
Well, I grew up in the church.
And how big was the church?
Between 250 and 300.
So it's huge in Presbyterian standards.
Yeah, well,
I hear Bob and Christy go to a 2,000 member church, and I just want to rebuke you and say
Well, no,
repent.
they said we were.
Oh, I would say because I want to tell them to repent. No, I'm just kidding.
She's jealous.
I'm not really jealous. See, the
We were
problem I
talking about
have
this.
the problem I have with the mega church thing is they're just like in the small churches, they also suffer from that elitist kind of thing. Well, we're so big, you have to go to our church because that's where all the Christians go. And the little churches go, oh yeah, those churches are big, but they're not all Christians. They're not all Christians. I mean, all the Christians. We're and so it's really weird. I mean, I think they kind of suffer both from the same ditch. Fair enough.
They both can end up in elitism.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of so it's prone to that. The thing I do like about the bigger church is there's a lot of variety. I mean, there's groups, there's support.
There's a lot of stuff you can do.
Well, Church of Hope does a lot of great stuff. I wouldn't go there personally. The doctrine and me don't get along.
There's a lot of stuff if you want to be involved in like within the church, not just like help out with projects, but if you want to get like a position within the church, even if it's
I have a position
even
in
if
our
it's
church.
Congregation member.
No, I actually got a position.
What are you now?
I am the diaconal assistant.
Oh, cool.
So you lose.
No, well, my point is that
What's going on with Brian?
I have no idea. It kind of reminds me of something from the movie Madagascar.
Ryan just sounded like an animal.
No, I was. What did you just say you were?
A diaconal assistant.
What is that?
I'm an assistant to the deacons.
Oh.
He helps them out in meetings. He brings them coffee.
Yeah, it's an actual position.
Oh, okay.
Like I had to get approved by the session, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, so and they're
Maybe I shouldn't have
announcing it.
laughed.
Yeah, and they're announcing it on Sunday. It's an actual position.
That's very interesting. Well, my point was there's a lot of other things you could do, especially as a worship, especially as a music leader.
Well, yeah, and that's.
church.
I mean, you're kind of aiming for a mega church, aren't you? Because I don't think very small churches can afford a music minister.
It doesn't need to be a mega church. I can make a good living teaching lessons. I don't have to get a $65,000 a year job like playing music for a church. It doesn't have to be a big church, but when you have a bigger church, there's more things that you can do with the music. You can have bigger choir. You can have multiple bands. Sometimes you can even have an orchestra. And so there's just a lot of other options that you can do.
I think that's a positive thing that a bigger, a mega church, if you will, offers. Is there's just a lot of variety.
What's your definition of a mega church?
Well, that's a good next question. What's your definition of mega church? I'm the host. I get asked questions.
I think it depends on the person. If you grow up in a church that has 500 people, a church that has 1,000 or 1,500 isn't going to seem that big. But if you grow up in a church like I did, even a church of 400 seems like a mega church.
Sure. What do you guys think? I mean, you guys have an active voice in this conversation. 1-855-244-0077. I'd like to know what you think. I'd like to converse with you about maybe your experience is good or bad. I don't think we're going to find out an answer tonight as to which is better necessarily. I don't think we're trying to find an answer. We're just trying to talk about the differences.
I think the problem, well, at least for me, the problem is when you don't have a sense of community, then that's the problem.
That's something I think a small church does very well, or can do very well. But there are small churches where you can go and be a part of and then not do anything. I mean, there are small churches that
I would
don't
say
have
the tendency is with a larger church to get into that the rut of just walking in and then walking out.
And see, but I would disagree. Church of Hope in Des Moines, they have all kinds of small groups, and there's a real sense of community there, and there's a sense of belonging and ownership that those members get that I've never seen, and that is the biggest Lutheran church in the world.
The world.
What?
The world. Yeah.
I didn't know we had the biggest anything in Iowa.
13,000 members
per capita. We have the biggest skywalk in the world.
Yeah, you got.
It's not that impressive.
It's the biggest Lutheran church in the world, because you got to think most of these large churches non-denominational. This is a denominational church.
What Lutheran?
It's a ELCU or something like that.
ELCA. Can you give the number of people to call in again? That's being requested on the
1-855-244-0077. And you could jump in on this conversation. Like I said, you guys are really who I want to hear from. We do this to amuse ourselves, but we do this to amuse you too. I mean,
hopefully it's edif amusement.
Edif amusement,
oh,
yeah.
Goodness.
You're just taking this too far. It's gone too far, John. Don't kill edifatainment. I like that one. Don't. It's just got to stay edifatainment.
But you said amusement.
I did. I said amusement. We do it for their amusement. We're trying to amuse them.
Okay, well,
and
edify them at the same time. So,
but
we don't
need to join it. See, you can't do that too much. You're gonna ruin it. It's like a dead horse. You're beating it. You're beating a dead horse. Horse is dead, John. Leave it alone.
And you were the one that was still talking about it. It's dead. Leave it alone. It's dead. Leave it alone. It's dead. Leave it alone. Don't beat the horse, John. Don't beat the horse, John. Don't beat the horse, John.
I think we can move the conversation in a new direction.
I think we can take a caller.
Excellent.
Caller. Ryan didn't bring me the number, so I don't
know who it is.
Who is it?
I'm guessing it's Christine.
No, I don't know. Who is it? Caller, you're on the air.
Identify yourself.
Yes, it's Christine.
Why you gotta make John right, Christine? How you doing, Christine?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Hey, by the way, I do want to answer your question you asked me specifically on chat. We do have the Bibles at the binders. They have all the covers ripped off, and it has been a busy holiday and first month season back with joining KTIA and the holidays, and this month with seminary starting. I just haven't got the covers done. It's my fault, and I'm sorry I dropped the ball, because I know you're excited to see your labor and size labor promoted on the show, and we will get to that.
Well, I just didn't know if I missed something.
No, you haven't missed anything. We're slackers. Nothing new. I apologize. So Christine, have you been part of a mega church?
I was.
Okay, how many people went to your mega church?
20,000.
20,000. That's a huge church.
What?
What kind of church was it?
Calvary Chapel.
Oh, okay.
Was it in a
Calvary Chapel,
stadium?
Fort Lauderdale. Wasn't that Bob Coy?
It is Bob Coy, yeah.
Small world. Big church. Small world.
So
why is it a small world? Do you know?
Well, I don't know him personally, but I know his work. I used to listen to CSN for a while, and he was one of the voices that was on all the time. So
yeah, but that doesn't really make it a small world. I wouldn't say. I don't understand the small world comment.
That's okay. Moving on.
Moving along now. So what was your? I know you doctrinally disagree now with Calvary Chapel. I know enough about you to know that. So let's not address that part because that Tim Keller, you probably wouldn't doctrinally disagree, and he has also a large church. What were the experiences, good or bad, that you had there?
The bad was there's no accountability. There may be with the staff, but there isn't with anybody else. It's too big. The volunteer and go home. Because I served for 3 years, and I had no contact with the pastors, except to say hi in the hall. But if you email, you're ignored. which is part of the reason I left.
But did you email them all the time?
Did I what?
Did you email them all the time, Christine?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
Did you email them all the time, Christine?
No.
No?
No.
So you weren't like, you weren't constantly emailing them. They weren't like, oh, here comes Christine.
No, 2 issues
Okay.
only.
Okay. What are some of the good things?
The good things were, it was my first church in my life that I ever went to regularly.
Okay, that is a good thing.
Yeah, so, I mean, it got me used to going. It got me meeting people, other Christians especially. I was like, well, why should I come to church and then just leave? I need to get involved, meet people, and start serving. So it totally stretched me. It totally stretched me. You know, they have a lot of, like, programs and things for people to do, but it's still not connected enough like the church I'm in now is, because it's so small. You really know the people.
Sure, and how many people go to the church you are in now?
44.
40. Oh, what are you, an OPC person?
Yeah.
Is it an OPC? Oh, stereotypical. They have no mega churches in the OPC. Not one.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Oh, well, that's true. I mean, mega church for the OPC is maybe 200 or 300 people.
Yeah, I think that's... Yeah, well, you know, without Tim Keller, although down south, PCA's got quite a few big churches. So, all right. Well, Christine, thank you so much for giving us a call.
Sure.
All right.
See you soon.
Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right. It's so weird to have a conversation with somebody on the phone. What is going on there? Thank you. I thought that was the phone, and then it kept going.
No, it was just Dave.
It was just Dave. Dov, you're messing things up, Dov.
Apparently, Dave's not here, man.
Dave's not here, man. Oh, I'm petering out. I don't know about you guys. I was up till 3:30 in the morning. One of my other jobs is manufacturing hair extensions. Yes, I know. And I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Didn't you try to sell me on something once before I decided to shave my head?
Sell you?
So like some sort of hair plug thing. Like, oh, John, you should do
I
hair
don't know that we
plugs.
tried to sell you on something. You asked if there's anything we could do, and we explained to you a system that would work.
And then I shaved my head.
Yeah, I don't know that was ever trying to sell you. You couldn't afford them, John.
Well, that's true.
I knew that going in.
That's true.
So selling you would be, it's kind of that'd be an oxymoron. Or just maybe moronic. Selling something you can't afford. Ryan, you ever been to a mega church?
Not really.
Not really. Hey,
I've
good
been
job,
to,
by the way, on the 1 minute bumper. I don't know if you guys heard that, but the KTIA listeners have been listening to it all week. It's hilarious.
The 1 minute bumper?
Yeah, it's amazing.
What's too bad is that we didn't have Remnant X Radio.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, well.
We got some constructive criticism, though. It sounded, I guess, to Chris like maybe we changed the name of the show to Remnant X Radio.
Oh, really?
Because we need to make sure we identify who. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how we messed it up, but I'll have to go back and listen to it. But it was hilarious. You did a good job. Very, very, very funny.
Although you did most of it.
I just did the editing. You were funny. The funny parts were Ryan's. He was funny. I'm not funny.
Yeah. I
Funny
still
looking.
think he's a murderer.
Oh, totally off subject. Missio Day. What's the update on that?
That's Ryan.
That's me.
So give us the Missio Day
I'm
update.
editing that right now.
Ryan, why
And
isn't that done?
Sam,
we got people actually email me going, this intro is awesome. I'm so excited. When does this drop?
Okay.
And I got no information. What's
patience?
No more
we are
patience.
working on
I need
here.
a hard
No.
deadline from you.
We will have it out, Sam and I, since Dan's doing the music and we're doing it together. We will have it out by next weekend.
Next weekend.
Okay.
Next Thursday.
Listen to that choke sound in
next
Sam's
Thursday.
voice.
We will release it
next Thursday.
Actually, I just devised a system to compose the music for it. I was thinking about it the other day, so I was like, yeah.
So next Thursday,
I
we
will
should see
say it's
episode or video one.
Impressively long. So
Yes,
I was trying to
it
think,
is pretty
how on
long.
earth am I supposed to create music for this? But
Did you
I
resort to
came up
my
with it.
idea of the loop system?
It's similar to that. It's
Okay.
very similar, but it uses the same premise. So,
Okay.
So
So
Oh,
we
Lord
killed
willing.
a couple minutes. John, why don't you use this time to tell people about your side projects you're going on? You're so excited. I know you didn't get radio time this time. Maybe another time.
That's fine. It was not a big deal. I mean, I want to announce.
These
it,
are the
but-
people that like you anyway. The radio people don't know who you are.
That's true. Ryan, did you get that graphic?
No.
What
Okay.
graphic?
Never
Yeah.
mind. You don't
I guess
pay
I
attention.
didn't.
You don't pay attention to your Facebook page when you're producing. Shame on you. Anyway, there's some friends of mine who are Christians who are also big video game nerds, and they are doing they have a Facebook page that's going to be turning into a podcast. They're called the Retro Junkies. They're out of North Carolina. Rob Luther, Landon Long. They offered me a spot on their show, which I actually turned down because it's their dynamic. I don't want to mess with the dynamic, and I also can't commit to a second show every week. You know, Rebels Cause is my priority. I can't. I mean, I couldn't.
We're trying to get rid of John so take up some other projects.
I couldn't take on another weekly project. So I had a 3-hour-long phone conversation with Rob Luther, and we decided we're going to start a couple side projects. 2 of them are just fun, but the third one is substantial and meaningful. The first 2 are the fun ones. There's going to be Nerds Talk Radio, which is just going to be video game chat. And there's going to be Nerd Noise Radio, which is going to be kind of like a Legacy Music Hour thing where we're playing video game music and like critiquing it and talking about it and all that stuff. The third one though, get this. We're all of us involved in this are video game nerds, but we're Christians and we all struggle with the same things. How do we honor God with our nerdness? How do we subject our nerdness to a robust Christian worldview, to the lordship of Christ? You know, how do we prevent turning our nerd candy into idols? You know, how do we reach our non-Christian nerd friends with the gospel? How do we get our Christian friends who are not nerds to understand us better? That's kind of what that's all about. You know, the slogan for it, the show's going to be called A Nerd's Walk. And the slogan for it's kind of cheesy, but also fun. It's living for Christ in a 16-bit world. So we're not going to be starting the shows anytime soon. We have scheduling conflicts.
It is cute, Christine. It's very funny. He is announcing something that he's not even starting for a while.
Well,
Way to not commit.
Hang on. We're starting the Facebook page right here. We're starting the Facebook pages right away, and we're hoping to make those active. As soon as we work out scheduling arrangements and stuff, we're going to start recording episodes. So, but anyway, I'm going to like the pages tonight, and I'll invite my friends to like them. And hopefully you guys will join those and participate, and love to see some familiar faces and familiar voices on there.
All right. Well, that's what John's got going. We're all really excited.
You sound so excited.
I'm stoked. I don't know what to tell you. Sam, are you stoked?
I am always stoked.
So when we get back, we're going to talk some more about mega churches. We're going to talk a little bit about the Christian Today had an article about grace or holiness if we preach too much grace. So we're gonna take on that topic a little bit.
Grace abuse.
Grace abuse. There you go. Grace abuse. When we come back, this is Rebels Cause Radio. I'm bored. I hope you aren't. See you after the break.
Hi, this is Dan Fry, one of the hosts of A Rebels Cause Radio. Did you know that you can like us on Facebook? That you can follow us on Twitter? That you can watch our previously recorded shows on YouTube? That you can listen to a live audio stream on Mixlr.com? That's mixlr.com/webcast-1-live. Or that you can email us with any ideas you have for the show at idea@arebelscause.com. And we want to say thank you. We love this show, but we couldn't do it without rebels like you who interact with us on a daily basis through these methods. So thanks for going with us on this journey in search of edifatainment.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
Fight the good fight on a Rebels Cause Radio. Thursday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on a rebelscause.com. A Rebels Cause Radio is edutainment.
Hey, Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I've purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. And he said not only would he like to be a sponsor, but he would offer a $100 tithe for every customer that came and bought a car from him directly to the church of your choice. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
You don't always listen to the radio, but when you do, you listen to a Rebels Cause Radio.
That's great. I like that. I like that you guys listen to me, mock me. It's fun. Well, sometimes they don't mock me. I was wrong. Did you look it up? Yeah, we just had a 4-minute break. This is a Rebels Cause Radio. I am your host, Dan Fry. I really like the most interesting man in the world thing. It was fun. I'm really tired tonight. Boy, my hair looks gray in this. That's not good. I have to dye it.
It's just the light on it.
Hair extensions.
There is a little
I don't need hair extensions. I just cut my hair off. I got gray.
There is a little bit of gray.
I'm getting old. So
hey, now that Cy left, I'm actually the oldest member of the cast.
Actually, and you know what? Being old isn't a bad thing. Biblically, being old with white hair was an example of wisdom.
This is why we don't let Ryan on the microphone. I figured it out. This is a Rebels Cause Radio. We are that show that likes you to call in when Daniel's really tired and pull some slack. I need some help. John, take over.
You go take a nap, and we'll go talk about something else.
You do the most interesting radio in the world. Now go.
Now go. Okay, no pressure. No pressure. So we were talking about megachurches.
We were.
And we never really got off first base with this thing. We were trying to find like a definition of what is a megachurch, and we never really got that. I mean, Christine called in, gave us a figure of 22,000, which is insane. I mean, that's not against her, but churches. I think churches can be considered megachurches. They're a lot bigger than that. I think the average
20,000 though is a megachurch.
That's like an ultra mega.
Well, no, Joel Osteen has 40,000 people.
Okay, no, but here's what I mean by this.
They used to have his building used to house the Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
That's the stadium for the Houston Rockets. Is where
the Wikipedia says that the definition of a megachurch is having 2,000 or more in an average weekend attendance.
Well, that's what Christine just said too.
Yeah.
So
let's take that. I think that's
2,000
fair.
2,000 is reasonable because the average. I heard that the
but
average.
But if I stepped into a church with 1,500 members, that's a megachurch. I don't know what you guys talk about.
It seemed like it to me too. But okay. But the average church, I think nationally, the average size for a church is about 100.
Sure. I don't know if that's true, but I'll go with it. I don't have any. I haven't seen the thing, so I'm.
I've heard it from a couple different places. So you just have to trust me.
I trust John.
I don't trust John at all.
Probably not a good idea.
I just failed my bluff check. Well, no, I have heard it from a couple different places though.
Did Todd Friel say it?
Half the churches in the United States have fewer than 75 people.
There you go.
See, well, there. So I was actually.
Yeah, there you go. You made it up. Thank you, Sam, for finding something off the interweb that I'm sure is true.
But never mind.
It's a blog. It's probably not true.
I'm taking statistics in school right now, so I was going to just tell you why that doesn't mean
Do
the
you know
average
that
is 75.
Statistically, 99% of all statistics are made up less than 5 minutes before they're presented?
No. It's 97.5 are made up on the spot.
No, I like mine better.
50% of the time, I'm 100%
Have you ever seen that
Dan's statistics?
Yeah. Have you ever heard that? Seen that movie Lord of War? Where it's like, thank you, but I like mine better.
No.
Yeah. You win. You're not cool.
I'm not cool. I'm a nerd.
Anyway.
Oh. So Ryan, what's going on with you?
Everything. You're trying to get me to do lots of stuff.
I am.
But you are doing all sorts of stuff, though, Ryan.
Which is
Ryan's
a
kind
blessing.
Ryan's kind of our unsung hero. I mean, he really is. He's doing so much stuff behind the scenes. He's keeping.
Stop singing. You're talking about it. How
I'm not going to
never
sing
talk
about. I'm not going to sing about it.
You're talking about how you never talk about me.
You know, here's the thing with the mega churches to get us back on track. What about the multiple service thing? Is this a good thing?
You know, I'm not going to be dogmatic about it, but I personally don't like it because it divides the flock.
That's kind of my thought is how do you, if me and you go to the same church, but we don't even go to the same service, how can we possibly fellowship together?
We go to it puts the emphasis on the wrong part of church. I mean, church primarily is not a building. Church is primarily the body of believers.
I would
it puts the emphasis on the building.
Yeah, I almost would say that the definition that for me, when you have to split it up into multiple services, I kind of think there's something problematic. I appreciated that it didn't sound like Michael Damastis' church did that. I don't know theologically where that guy sits on everything. Obviously, we found something.
We definitely found some points of agreement, and we found some points of disagreement.
Yeah, I don't know much about the guy. I just know that KTIA partners up with Real Men, and he asked to be on our show to sponsor that, and said he talked theology. Okay,
well, he did. I mean, it was a good conversation.
He was. He's very bright. I'll give him. Like I said, I'm not going to give him that. That's not mine to give. He's very bright. I don't think he's a stupid person. I thought he was a good guest.
Yeah.
So we were supposed to have alert 321 on earlier this month. 312 earlier this month. They just dropped a new album. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but Vice and Virtue is insane.
Is there any way, Ryan, that we can queue up a song?
No, we can't. We actually can't. But you can download it for free. Humblebeast.com. Get the whole CD.
Humblebeast.com.
Yeah, humblebeast.com.
Put that on chat.
It's pretty amazing.
Dave.
Ryan, you can't talk offside.
Dave can hear me though.
Yeah, but you just can't. You can't do that.
There's an invisible wall there.
Yeah, there's an invisible wall.
Well, we have done that too. We've tried very hard not to do that.
Yeah, I'm not used to be on this side of glass, guys.
You know what though?
It's a bad idea.
Hey, you know what though? For only your second episode being in the booth, you're not doing too bad.
Thanks.
And the first one was episode 2.
Anyway, Humble Beast, Vice and Virtue. It dropped. They've got a song called Hami, which is about his dad, who was apparently a minister. And that one really hit home. The Invisible Man, I really liked a lot. Of course, the title track, Vice and Virtue, is really good.
That's probably my favorite.
Yeah, that one's really good.
Just because of the video.
I like the one where he does like the Dracula sound voice too. He's like, I'm trying to think what he says now, but he's got that like, it's very funny.
In which one?
He's being sarcastic. I think it's song number 2.
Okay.
Anyway, it's another great effort. I urge you guys to go download it if you like it. Send them some money. Buy a shirt from them. Do something. They're working hard and they're producing quality stuff. I mean, this is just unheard of for them to give this kind of stuff free. I think they could have sold it quite easily. And it's another one of those. It's kind of like Beautiful Eulogy. I don't know that I would call it rap, although it is rap. It's its own monster. I mean, it's crazy. They've got a lot of live percussion and stuff on it. It's not there are drum machines on it, but a lot of it's like live percussion, which is just amazing. And there's guitars, and their rhyme style isn't typical. It's just different. Check it out. I like it. You know, if you don't like rap, well, you're missing out on the best Christian music on the market. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, if you come to this radio station, guys, you won't get like this talk about folk Christian or something.
Yeah.
All Dan talks about is rap or hip hop.
Well,
really,
you know why it
really
is
hip-hop.
because I am utterly unimpressed with contemporary Christian music.
Me too.
There's some good ones out there.
Well, you'll find one or two here and there,
Yeah.
but as a whole,
I mean, like usually when you find that, it's one or two songs. It's not even the artist's whole repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's hard for me to say I like somebody, especially given the platform we have, and not keep in context everything they've got out. And, you know, how can you say that about most of these people? Because a lot of the songs do have sound like some Quasimodo love song to their lover named Jesus. And it's almost offensive to me. I'm like, it's not a sexual object. What are you doing? Or it's some horribly theologically incorrect thing that centers around humanism. And that's also really annoying. Or it's just so simple, like we're talking about. It's kind of like kindergarten, you know, and those are okay, but I mean, I don't really want to listen to kindergarten music. I don't listen to Raffi, so
you don't listen to how Noah and the animals went aboard the Ark-Yarky?
Does Raffi sing that one? I don't remember that one.
Yeah.
I just remember Baby Beluga, here's your mother home. My little brother, when I was like 7, my mom bought all that Raffi crap, and he used to play it over and over again. I just wanted to shoot him. So yeah, I mean that's why I talk about it, Ryan. It's not because I actually I like hippie music. Hip hop isn't my main. I mean, John, you know that. Do I? Hip hop,
beautiful people. No, beautiful
girls. Yeah, the beautiful girls,
Beautiful
which actually
People's
is now
totally
changed to Matt McHugh. It's an Australian beach band. I like jam bands. When it comes to Christian music, I think most of it's crap.
You know, hip hop isn't my first one either. I mean, I'm a big fan of jazz fusion. I'm a video game music guy. You know, but when it comes to the Christian music, hip hop is absolutely where it's at.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I wish it. Sometimes I'm like, man, like I've been trying to research like solid reform guys. You know, Jars of Clay now are PCA guys. But
I did not know that.
Yeah,
what about?
Were they always PCA?
No, I think that's fairly recent.
That's cool.
Mozart? I mean, the Coronation Mass. That was pretty sweet. I mean,
I am not a classical music.
I have no idea what that is.
But I listen to classical music, but I'm not an expert on it. Like I don't listen to enough of it where I can identify songs. I listen to classical music when I'm studying my Bible. Long time ago,
what does classical music mean to you? Does that mean like piano?
I know what you're going for.
Like contemporary piano, or are you like listening to quartets, quintets, orchestra?
I would be
symphony?
listening to like symphony or orchestra.
Okay,
something like that. Like, you know, one of the tracks I've got is probably even on my phone is like classical music for studying, and it's very, you know. A long time ago, I had a teacher tell me that you actually retain 80% more knowledge or something like that if you listen to classical music while studying. And for me, when I like to study in a coffee shop, and it drowns out the noise nicely without being obtrusive.
That's true. The problem for me is when I hear music, I listen to it, so I can't even listen to music when I do anything else.
Yeah, I don't have a musical ear at all. Like I wouldn't know how I want to know how to create it, and I just can't conjure that up. So for me, it's good noise.
Sometimes you guys are free to make fun of me for this, and you're going to. But sometimes video game music works best for me because sometimes
why is that funny, Joe? Why do you think we should make fun?
Yeah,
I don't want to make fun of you for that.
Yeah, right.
Because it's like looping and repetitive.
No, because it's familiar, it's comfortable. It's it's stuff that I am.
You're bringing your idol in, Navi the fairy.
Navi.
I'm never gonna get that right because I don't know what the guy's name is.
But sometimes it also backfires too because like I'll get listening to it and like, okay, that's PSG, that's FM. I can tell what I start once my technicals brain kicks in, then it becomes more of a distraction. And I have to turn it off and listen to something else.
Yeah, I mean that's Ryan. That's where I listen to hip hop when it comes to Christian music, and I actually like to think about the theology and a lot of this stuff. So you'll notice that I don't like Lecrae. Lecrae doesn't do anything theological for me. So I like Shai Linne, who isn't really a good rapper in a sense. I don't think he's.
I disagree. I like him.
I mean, yeah. If I was going for rap, he would be bottom of the totem pole. If I'm going for theology, he's top of the totem pole.
No, I
don't hate him. I don't think compared to the stuff. I mean, every once in a while, I'll try to listen to some kind of contemporary music, and compared to the new hip hop they got out now, all that stuff is. I make more money than you. Look at how much money I make. Buy my CD because I want to make more money than you. And it's like, you do realize that we understand that you're getting rich off of us and bragging to us about how rich you are after you took our $10 and then wonder why most people steal your music. I mean, that's what they're doing. Look how much better I am than you. Why do I want to listen to somebody being better than me? I don't. I really don't.
I stopped listening to popular radio a while ago.
I don't even. My wife sometimes will listen to like a light rock station or something like that, and it annoys the crud out of me when I get in the car and that's on. I don't like it at all. It's one of that and moving my seat are my two least favorite things about driving a car that she just drove.
Contemporary rock? Why?
I just don't like it. Anything new I don't really like. I have not heard a good artist lately.
I did like Gangnam Style. I did.
What?
Yeah.
That's not an artist.
It's a song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
It's just
so
awful.
you like Psy, huh?
Well, I don't know if I like Psy per se.
I mean, he wants to kill the men and women of the armed services, but that's cool. I mean, it's totally cool, I guess.
I didn't. I wasn't endorsing the artist or his repertoire, or just that particular song.
Yeah, Dawn says she listens to classic rock. She listens to crap. I hate it when she changes my radio stations. Hate it.
She should reassign every radio station to that contemporary rock station. Click, click.
The most if I do listen to something new, it's something nobody's ever heard of. Like I like a band called Good Old War.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody's ever heard of it.
You should check out the Lone Bellow or Civil Wars.
Yeah, I've heard those.
You know what I've discovered I like all of a sudden? I'm not a blues fan. And I mean, you put me in front of a blues CD, I'm bored within 10 minutes. But you put me at a blues concert, and I love the stuff.
It's kind of like hockey. I hate watching it on TV, but when you're on the ice, it's fun.
You're on the ice?
Meaning you're down in front.
Yeah. Well, you are small enough to be the puck, I suppose.
Hey, shut up.
Ouch. Maybe the stick.
Wow.
Maybe the
John.
stick.
John's
that was impressive.
Hey, I'm fat. I'm not even fat-ish.
No, I just figured out that.
True story.
Okay,
you just figured that out? You just figured out that John was fat?
Okay.
Ryan, that's mean.
This is insulting and a geek out moment. But I just figured out on TriCaster, they can make you thinner. Whatever. Okay. Never mind. Geek out moment.
This is why we do not let Ryan have the microphone.
Do that for the KTIA crowd.
Okay.
All right.
Were you going to... But no. Live performances are usually better than recorded.
I do usually when I go to a live performance, whatever band's playing, I like. I mean, unless they just really are bad.
The best, one last thing about the blues thing, and then we really need to get back to the megachurch.
We weren't talking about
megachurches aren't missing us at all.
Yeah, we were talking about music.
Well, but we never really finished the megachurch thing.
I know, but we weren't talking about blues. That was my point.
This was a blues festival, and there were bands from Kansas City, Los Angeles, Chicago, and who knows where else. And my two favorite bands were both bands from Des Moines. And that's not home field advantage bias talking, because one of them I didn't even know was from Des Moines until after they were over and I had sold them, or they had sold me out. So anyone listening who's into the blues at all, listen to the Bob Pace Band and listen to Rock Island Rollers. They're both blues bands from Des Moines, and they're just awesome. And this is from a guy who doesn't like blues.
We are not getting paid for these plugs.
No, we're not.
And he should quit giving them, because I don't know who he could be endorsing somebody that have you done any research? It's all of their stuff, kind of ambiguous and not offensive.
I didn't hear anything offensive. I thought it was pretty ambiguous.
But so what you heard at a public concert where there was probably all ages?
Yeah.
You're basing an endorsement off of.
Most of the people were old.
That makes it, because old people aren't sinners. No, every old person I know is perfect.
Well, they are further along in their sanctification when they're saved.
Depends on when they got saved.
That's true.
That's not necessarily true at all.
That's true. Okay, so let's just resolve. I mean, do you want to go back to the megachurch?
Yeah, we can go back to the megachurch. Sam, we got like 13 minutes left. I want the chat to know. I'm sorry if I'm boring you guys. You guys don't bore me. We love meeting with you guys. It was just a late night last night, and I'm running out of stuff to say. We had a cancellation, and I need to adjust better when we have guests cancel because I had stuff planned out, and it just didn't go as planned. I don't know. I don't take it too serious. I thought the first hour was all right, and I'm glad that you guys are here to carry us through. I don't think that we could do it without the chat. I mean, you guys are contributing, even if it's we read it and then espouse a thought. That's how that works. And we're just glad we have people listening to us. I mean, we didn't think this was going to go anywhere. You heard that last week. We thought a couple months it'll shut down. The fact that we feel compelled now to do a radio show is pretty amazing. So anyway, back to the mega church thing. We all agree that 2,000 is a mega church. I would argue that anywhere above 500 seems to be kind of a big church.
Yeah.
I would call mega after 1,000 probably. That's a.
I guess the greater question is what can you have a
what's scary?
A church where people are following God that's bigger than a certain number.
That's what I think the better conversation is. What's the likelihood that a church is going to be sound after so many members? Because when you get so many people in, you kind of do have to compromise. I mean, inevitably, when you have 16,000 people in a room, there are people that hold very different beliefs that are all fellowshipping together.
I disagree with that because
no. You do. You have to. You can't really disagree with it. You can disagree whether you should or not.
No. John MacArthur's church.
John MacArthur's full of compromises. I mean, the guy's full of compromises, and he's just wrong on some stuff.
Well, he's wrong on his doctrine, but on certain points. But the thing is, he doesn't compromise those. I mean, one of the things I like best about John,
where he's wrong is a compromise. It's easy to preach a lot of the stuff he's talking about because when you're not an all-mill or a post-mill, a lot of that stuff kind of becomes negligible.
No, but the point I'm getting at is he's not kid-gloving those points. He's not sidestepping those points for the fear of offending people.
I am saying that his wrong doctrine is kid gloves.
No, I disagree.
Pre-mill allows for kid gloving a lot of stuff because
give me an example.
Give you an example. Well, like post-mill would bring about the kingdom of God, so we would talk about theonomy and some of the righteous and judgment and stuff like that. If you're a pre-mill, you don't have to really address that because we're not in the kingdom of God era.
No, but they would have different tough spots. The end of the world is coming. Get everyone inside fast.
But you could make a lot more compromises in that than you could in a theonomy.
No, I will say this. Most mega churches they do soft glove stuff. They do kind of tiptoe around stuff so they won't offend people. But John MacArthur's church, even though we disagree with him on his dispensationalism and other points. I think he's even though he's wrong on those points, he is rock solid on those points. And
I think those points allow him to kid glove and teach a message that is nicer than a more accurate form of Christianity.
I don't think so. One thing I never.
That's okay. I mean, me and you don't have to agree on this, but you're not the authority.
One thing I never.
I mean, that's yeah.
One thing I've never associated John MacArthur with is kind, friendly Christianity.
Well, I just don't think. I think when you build those churches, you end up compromising. I would bet in that church there's a lot of compromises made. I think when you get that many people, John, we can't get 4 guys in the room without having to compromise stuff. Get 1,600 of us. Get 16,000 of us. I'd love to see you not compromise.
Okay, but we're talking about one person preaching from the pulpit, not 4 people, not 16,000 people with microphones.
But the deal is those 16,000 people in the stands don't agree with everything he's saying. They don't understand.
Right. That's true. But he's not changing the tune for them.
I would say that for him not to offend him, he probably is.
I think he's not afraid of offending them.
Well, I hope you're right. I don't see that. John MacArthur, not one of my. I'd put him in the good guy camp, and that's about it. I mean, that's really about all I got to say about that. A premillennial view is heresy. I mean, it's just wrong.
But define heresy.
It's not damnable, just heresy.
Okay, so
other than the truth.
You're using the term heresy to mean anything that's not true. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I just it's not acceptable doctrine. It's hard to draw together. You can show me all the charts you want in the world, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I disagree with it too. Now you and I use the word heresy different. I only use it for things that are damnable, so I would not call it heresy. But we would agree that you and I would agree that it is wrong, but not damnable heresy.
The problem I have is we hold to an all-mill or post-mill position. I'm more all-mill than post, but we would hold to those positions, which are more aligned than pre-mill by a long shot. Well, and we go around and we kid gloves these guys, John MacArthur, say, John MacArthur's great, and it's John MacArthur has some good points, and his views where his premillennialism doesn't infect the rest of his views are probably great. They're probably very solid.
Even though I disagree with so much that's in the John MacArthur Study Bible, it is absolutely my favorite study Bible. I think it's fantastic.
He's got a lot of good points when that wrong view doesn't seep in. But whenever you have somebody learning by a view that is not right and contextualizing stuff, maybe it comes out to be okay information, but it's not necessarily biblical, and that's where I would go.
Okay, well, but to the megachurch thing, I do think that one of the risks of the megachurch, and I'm not willing to go so far as to condemn it as inherently wrong, even though I don't like it, even though I wouldn't want to be a part of it. The big risks of the megachurch is, one, kowtowing to the crowd. That's a much greater risk in a megachurch.
Sure.
The cult of personality for the pastor, it's a much greater temptation in a megachurch. Not that they're going to necessarily always give into it, but it's a bigger temptation. And now for the congregant, being lost in the crowd, not having a personal relationship with the pastor, not having any sort of personal accountability, you just kind of come and go. Those are the risks of the megachurch. Now the risks of the small church, and I'm coming from a church of about 40 people, but the risks of the small church is there can become a cult mentality. There can become kind of an elitism thing. Well, you can get elitism with megachurches as well. We're the church that has 20,000 people. We're doing the census that David got a plague sent on Egypt or Israel for doing. But you can kind of get an us versus them in the small church. You can kind of get we're the best church in the small church, and you can kind of become a bunker system in the small church.
And I want to make very clear, I think Tim Keller's got a mega church, and I'm a big fan of Tim Keller. Okay. I think Matt Chandler's got a mega church, and from what I've heard of Matt Chandler, I like him. I know like Johnny Mack, there's going to be some things Matt Chandler is going to believe or say that I'm not going to be a big fan of. I like Johnny Mack. I know I was kind of being hard on him there, but that's just...
You were just being hard on him because to keep the debate going.
More or less. I think guys that believe in pre-mill, we disagree. I think they're wrong. I think we need to acknowledge that we think each other are wrong. I think that's an important beginning of an argument.
I agree with that too.
I just want to make sure that they know I still think they're my brother.
Yes. We've had this conversation before, but Two Ditches. Maybe that could be my nickname, John Two Ditches Wedgeworth. But the two ditches are, one, we're so concerned about preserving the brotherhood that we're not willing to say, I think you're wrong here, brother. I think this is wrong. We disagree. One or both of us is wrong. It's okay to say it's wrong. Wrong is not the F word. It's okay. The other ditch is to say, I'm not willing to fellowship with people who don't agree with this stuff.
Well, like I said, Johnny Mack, the sermons I've listened to, I've taken stuff out of, but sometimes I look at what he's saying and I look at the context he's bringing out of it, and when you look at the eschatology that he's bringing out of, he's coming to it from a different position than I would. It's kind of like reading Spurgeon.
I just shut half my brain off when he starts talking that stuff. I just keep my brain going enough that I can know when it's over and tune back in.
But it's like, I love Spurgeon. I love reading Spurgeon. Spurgeon's got some great points, but Spurgeon will bring in a text and then digress from it horribly, and he'll say a lot of true stuff, but it doesn't tie into the text, and so then you got to actually find in Scripture where this is correct. And that's a lot of work.
Well, Spurgeon, Spurgeon is known for so many great things, but he did kind of go off the rails at some points.
Well, like I said, even in my seminary class, we have a Spurgeon book. I like Spurgeon. All of Grace is a very good, very, very good book. But you gotta watch him, because he'll take something and then he coats it with. As a Presbyterian, he coats it with some Baptist kind of leanings that I would disagree with. And sometimes he, like I said, he kind of takes a point, makes another great point, but it's not really tied to the Scripture text he's talking about. And that's kind of hard to, because then you got to find another text that supports what he's saying. And that's really not how we should write books. I mean, definitely a talented preacher, definitely did a lot of good things. But I would be a bigger fan of J.C. Ryle,
Well, and J.C. Ryle had an excellent quote that dealing with the two ditches on being overly brotherly and being overly doctrinal. I want to scratch that. That sounded horrible on both sides. Where we forsake fellowship for doctrinal purity and we forsake doctrinal purity for fellowship.
Yeah.
He had a great line for dealing with that tension. He said, Christians should have low walls and they should shake hands over them often.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I that's a great route quote. And I just want to be clear, Spurgeon's one of my favorite Puritan authors.
Well, he's not really a Puritan, but he's great.
He actually is in the Puritan section.
Well, he gets lobbed in.
But I would agree with you that he's kind of on the tail end of that, and not really of that lineage. Much later, really, than most of the guys we would call Puritans. But he gets lobbed in there nonetheless. I like him a lot. I quote a lot of Spurgeon. Spurgeon's his grasp on grace is phenomenal. I think the guy's a solid guy. Would have loved to sit under his teaching. Like I said, I don't even know that I disagree so much with him. Other than I know he's Baptist, and I haven't read anything on his baptism stuff. So, other than that, I don't know that I disagree with him. It's just like I said, he'll say this is the verse we're talking about. Then he goes over there. So, we're just trying to have a conversation. You got to have some kind of conflict. So, don't take this stuff too seriously. But on the same note, be willing to stand your ground and argue it out and see where it goes. It's okay to be wrong. What it's not okay to be is silent. This is Rebels Cause Radio, where that show tells you go read your Bible. Find out for yourself. Don't wait for Spurgeon. You know what? Spurgeon is not supported by he doesn't support the Bible. The Bible supports itself. You don't need to proof text the Bible with Spurgeon. You proof text Spurgeon with the Bible. We want you to read that Bible. We want you to go to good church. We want you to love Jesus. We want you to forsake the world. Rebels Cause Radio.
Hey, Mr. Preacher Man, help me understand. Where will I stand in light of this judgment? I heard this work was sent from this Christian who mentioned I needed to be born again and forgiven. I tell him no, sir, I'm still seeking. Plus anyway, I think I heard the same stuff from a Muslim, that if I pray 5 times I could get to him and just do many works like a good Mormon. So please stop preaching. You're getting real annoying. Plus you keep judging. That's only God's judgment. Plus I do a lot of good, so I'm a good person. Yes, I am. I give to